everyone, and welcome to Backseat Sports. We got a live edition today. We're rocking and rolling live. Our gut reactions to Nebraska versus Oklahoma. Obviously, the number 3 Sooners. Nebraska comes into town, into Norman, and takes them to the wire. So we have a lot to talk about today, obviously. Basically, our gut reactions going through the game, the big takeaways, and that's going to be the goal for today's video. So if you guys got any questions or things, comments, drop them in the chat, and we will be quick to answer them for sure. I mean, Caleb, how you doing, dude? What are your thoughts?
I'm doing good. Another 11 a.m. game. But besides that, all things considered, I was happy. I thought we'd maybe make the under. Didn't think that we'd hold Oklahoma to 23 points.
I mean, my word, dude, it's crazy.
That made me happy. So, there's good, there's bad, and there's definitely ugly to this game. But overall, better than expected, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally the first time since 2016 that they were held to 23 points or less. So, I mean,
yeah,
that it couldn't be much better than that, honestly, or defensively at least. But if you guys are joining us, welcome in, everybody. It's Backseat Sports Live, and we're rocking and rolling today. So excited to talk with you guys all day today and break down the game and the gut reaction and everything else. So we're going to start on the offensive side. So drop all your questions about the offense, your thoughts about the offense in the chat, and we'll go from there. So Caleb, take us away. What are your thoughts on the offense and kind of the whole performance on the game? Obviously, we put up 16 points, lost 23-16. The spread was 22. So, we got that job done at least, but we didn't get the job done when it came to getting a W. So, thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, definitely not enough points you need to win, especially at Oklahoma. I think for most people's heads, if we were going to win this game, it was going to be, we'd have to score probably in that 30, 35, 40 margin. So I was definitely thinking we could score more than 16 points today. Obviously, our offensive line did not show up. We'll talk about that more.
You don't say.
Yeah. They haven't been showing up. As all of you know, we've been pretty vocal on ripping players, especially on that offensive line side of the ball.
Yeah.
And Ethan Piper gets another gold star later in the chat to talk about. But yeah, Omar Manning and Xavier Betts look great, so that was really exciting. I think that was one of the highlights.
Dude, facts.
That 31-yard catch that Omar made in the beginning of the game was huge, as well as the touchdown, which was a great throw by Adrian, by the way, on that post route, and a fantastic catch as well. So just exciting to see all around. Just a really good performance. And, again, some of the things that I'd wish I'd seen from Scott Frost 4 years ago, there was some of those nice little wrinkles in the play.
For sure.
The little pass to Ramir Johnson.
Yeah, you mean the rollout where he threw back to across the field again, and a nice play for a first down.
Exactly. And with how bad our offensive line's been, we did lean on the rollouts a little more, which only makes sense. Glad to see that a little bit more. I thought the play call was definitely better at moments, but man, sometimes you just don't know because our offensive line did not give Adrian a chance whatsoever. No.
I mean, we talked about that a lot though in our little predictions video. Was
100%.
That this front seven for Oklahoma is no joke. They have NFL talent all over the board there. So we were worried about that, which is why it kind of came out to play. So it's definitely tough out there. Yeah, Nick Bonitto's the real deal. Oh my gosh,
he looked as advertised. He was very good. So yeah, it was definitely disappointing.
Ramir Johnson started. That was a big surprise. Obviously, some other thing with the offense there were the running backs is that Gabe Ervin probably has a long-term injury. It looked
very
about
sad,
depressing.
Man.
Chat, that was beyond depressing. I lost absolute full.
So because that play was a good play. It was like a nice mesh.
Dude.
We held the ball for a long time. They weren't sure where to go. The gap opened up and I'm like, did the handoff get muffed, or what happened that he fell because there was a hole? And sadly,
but in that replay, you're like, oh no, yeah, a non-contact. You know what that means? And Frost got asked about it, and basically he said, yeah, Gabe's gonna be out for a little while. So.
Yeah, and that 3rd and 11 run from Gabe Ervin before
halftime
was huge for the team. If Gabe Ervin doesn't make that 3rd and 11 run to so that we can hold the ball longer to flip the field. I mean,
Maybe
Oklahoma could have
gets the
another
ball back.
touchdown.
Yeah.
And it's 14-3 at half instead of 7-3. So Gabe Ervin, I mean, he had so much potential for the rest of the season. It is heartbreaking to say the least.
Literally.
Man, he looked like he could break tackles. And again, he's a freshman, so the more we see him, the more it gets going this year. Man, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, we don't have any word on exactly what happened with Marquise Stepp in this game. He didn't play. So it was there wasn't any word on that, and so Ervin got he got 9 carries before he went out.
Do we know if he traveled? Because that was kind of my question.
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Because that makes me question, like, did he travel? And then if he didn't, like, what happened type thing. Maybe he did travel, but I think Ramir looked to be the best pass catcher, so I'm assuming that's why he was in, because he did look pretty good on pass catch.
Yeah, Frost was saying.
And Gabe Ervin is definitely, I think, the best blocker that we had, so that's a definite hurt too, because
Stepp was there. He was there.
Okay. Because he'd been really good in the backfield on getting blocks, where Stepp was definitely not nearly as good.
Stepp had pads on.
Okay. He wasn't nearly as good at the blocking, so I wonder if that's why Stepp didn't get the start too. Is just Stepp missed blocks last game.
Yeah.
When he needed in pass protection, so I think that definitely could be part of it as well.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of people say in the chat red shirt, that's true. I mean, that's the only like positive sign there. It is game 4. You can still red shirt, so that's good news to hear for Gabe at least. But you always worry with those ACL injuries, man, especially with the freshmen. Like, do they lose that step? Do they lose that confidence? Do they lose a little bit of that? And that's always a question mark. And then that's happened in Nebraska in the past too with some of these young guys before. So
it's just really sad.
It's sad, man, for how much potential we've seen from Gabe.
I mean, hopefully it's like an ankle or something. Like, hopefully, like, he broke an ankle or like
a really bad sprain or like a
like Jerry Jeudy, like where it looks
that's true.
Terrible,
Jerry Jeudy would be a good example.
Yeah, where it looks terrible, but then it's just 8 weeks for Jerry Jeudy, which would be the rest of the season. But that means he's okay. So I guess that'd be the hope, because man, it did look like that ACL.
Yeah, yeah. So the running game overall, I mean, like with the blocking, there was nowhere to go most of that game. I mean, again, that's why Gabe, he had those few runs where you're like, whoa,
Yeah,
and like
he got out of the backfield and he made
when there was
negative
nothing there
to like 4-yard plays.
Yeah, so we had to get a little bit more creative with Ramir and finding that space there, but we only averaged 2.5 yards per carry on the day on the ground, which is just embarrassingly bad.
Yeah, and that was one thing they did a great job too of. They QB spied Adrian all game, which was so good, because again, that's our security blanket is third down or a first down where we think we get some little quarterback cheeky run. That was not there for Nebraska. They used Nick Bonito a lot on that, and or some of their other defensive line. They did a great job stopping them.
That's the thing.
Oklahoma's more talented, where I think they're going to be able to get away with that where other defenses aren't, because they have such a good front seven. So
for sure. I mean, offensively for us though, I mean, like, we haven't even talked about the highlight of the day, which of course is Adrian Martinez. I mean, we're seeing a lot in the chat. You guys are obviously want to talk about Adrian, of course. He played incredible, and in my book, this might be the best game of his career. It just overall, from a game management perspective, making the right decisions, hitting the majority of his throws. He looked really, really good. He hit guys downfield. He just overall created time in the pocket, got out of the pocket, but kept his eyes downfield. Overall, unbelievably impressed with Adrian. Of course, he only had the one INT on a 4th and 18 or so.
Again, you gotta
throw it though. You gotta throw that ball. And so, like, with the situation I don't blame it on them. Not to mention, the dude shouldn't even picked it off in the first place. Not to mention, it was an unbelievable INT. That was mind-blowingly insane. But
the only one, like the only couple questionable things I think on Adrian's behalf is where he threw it out of bounds, but it wasn't quite out of bounds.
Oh yeah, nearly picked.
That should have been a pick. I'd say that play was questionable, and then like that Austin Allen throw, where if it's just a little bit
if he hits
lower,
him on
that's
the
a
numbers,
touchdown.
It's like a 25-30, maybe a touchdown. Like,
again, so I think besides those two, but again, like, no turnovers that's why Adrian has been such a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
It's because he couldn't throw downfield, which we've been seeing him do more.
Which he's
and
done. Yeah, this year.
And he's stayed way more patient in the pocket, looking for targets. He's gaining confidence in throwing. So those are just great things you like to see. Again, if he doesn't turn the ball over, his legs are enough to make him a positive to be in
for sure.
Inside that pocket.
Well, I mean, again, there was a few plays. There was one play. It was in the fourth quarter, one of our last two drives. He avoided. He avoided that pressure. He nearly got hit, and it was that 7-yard throw to the sideline. I think it was Austin Allen. To the right side. That was a fantastic play. I'm like, oh my word, Russell Wilson.
That's a big time football player.
I was like, holy crap, that's Russell Wilson.
Where's this been?
Yeah, exactly.
But happy it's here now. I think. Oh man, that Xavier Betts though they had. Okay, first off, Xavier absolutely flamed his corner. It was disgusting.
Love seeing that, baby.
It was just a speed move, one stutter step gone.
Love seeing Betts making plays.
It's like he had the most yards. It's like he should always be on the field this whole season.
Amen.
My goodness. Thank goodness he was there. And Adrian capitalized on the absolute disgusting move that Xavier Betts had on that line. Couldn't jam him up too fast. I'm like, oh, thank goodness.
No, literally.
Let's go.
It was sick. I legitimately so dope. So that got me hyped. I mean, we saw him throw downfield, of course, to Omar on that touchdown. Shocker, Omar Manning's good and he should be playing. Who'd have thought? No one's been saying that the past 2 weeks. So overall, exciting to see Omar out there. Torrey was a little bit quiet in this game, but Xavier made big time plays. And so those three guys.
You remember Adrian overthrew him one time?
Yes.
And he has he high points the ball on a 7-8 yard throw. And I'm like, was that Omar? I'm like, no, that
was nearly an awful play. I mean, it was a horrible throw.
He just goes up and gets it. And it was
across the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. He was just sitting down in the zone and bad throw. It doesn't matter. What a snag. It's so exciting to have him on the field. Very electric. So, I mean, I think the one thing, the play call was really good. And then also the halftime adjustments was good. I'll highlight the other positive where we ran the 12 personnel. We couldn't get blocks. So then we brought in both of our tight ends to help out. We've definitely been missing that this season. That was really nice to see. And then that started to get our running game going a little bit for us when we started hitting those 5 and 6 gaps. We kind of leaned on it a little too much and then just kind of stuttered there. So we need to switch it up a little bit. But that was nice to see an adjustment from halftime.
For sure. Yeah, using Travis Vokalek,
It felt like it had been a long time since Nebraska had done that. And then it be kind of semi-successful. But then,
having all those guys back was huge. Having Vokalek back, Austin Allen back, and just a healthy team there. I mean, obviously Oliver Martin wasn't back yet. But, that means Xavier saw the field. So,
I mean, that's
Xavier he's so good. He's so good.
Nothing against Oliver Martin, but
Oliver's a reliable player for sure.
He was a top 4-star talent for a reason.
Right. And we saw him make the big time plays last year.
Yeah. He's athletic. And again, that speed, we need it. And he has a big frame. Obviously good hands.
Right. I mean, again, the only thing holding back this offense is the offensive line at this point. I mean, Adrian played a near perfect clean game. I mean, he had maybe 2 bad throws where you're like, oh, but besides that, the pick was something you had to throw, basically on the levels of Hail Mary-esque type plays.
30 yards of penalties on our first drive and still got a field goal. It's come on. 2 false starts and then Cam Jurgens, come on, you don't need to block 20 yards up the field on a guy.
I mean, he was doing his best, blindside impression, bro. What is happening?
He didn't do, awesome to pancake him.
What is that?
You don't need to spear him afterward,
yeah, I mean, the penalties were a little soft. I'm
the second one more than the first.
They were. Well, I mean, it was just kind of it wasn't ideal from Cam, but it's not egregious.
Yeah, I mean, there was kind of the push at the. I just.
No, but I agree with you, man. At the end of the day, it takes that discipline for sure. So. I don't know, man. The offense is really interesting. We have dynamic packages. We can run 12 personnel. We can run 5 out if we wanted to. We can have Xavier, Oliver Martin, Wyatt, Omar, Torrey. We can run 5 out if we wanted. We could split out, Ramir Johnson or
It finally
Allen.
felt like we had a pulse too on what the defense was giving us. I don't know, again, like with the fun play calling, with taking what the defense is giving you, I just felt like Nebraska hadn't been doing that.
Right. It's weird how like the 16 points felt like we were moving the ball better than like in other games where we scored like even against like the Illinois game, like, you know.
Well, I think part of it is we did miss field goals, and two, like the penalties, like when you but we've done this all the time where it feels like we scored a lot of points, but the penalties just murder you, even though we're moving it between the 30s. But once it gets to the red zone, there definitely could still be some improvement in the red zone. I definitely think is again, and that's part of it's again the offensive line. Like, you can play call and scheme however much you want, but the offensive line, it was so bad.
Right. Yeah. I mean that's why it gets interesting moving forward, though. I mean, if we can see any improvement on the O-line at all, I mean, I get that like these guys are young, our tackles are young, and like, Ben Hart and Turner, and I mean,
but like this has been.
I know it's 4 straight games now, and they've been awful every single game, and hasn't looked any better. And then that's the fact that the special teams
it hasn't gotten
Ethan
better.
Piper got pancaked, and the thing gets blocked and returned for a touchdown.
Dude.
Like, Ethan Piper's bench, and he's still finding ways to hurt us.
I went on a 2-minute rant like after the Florida. I think was it after Illinois that I just went on a 2-minute rant on Ethan Piper, and then the dude just the pancake was so embarrassing. I mean, you could put anybody out there, and it would be just as fast as how fast Ethan Piper just got pancaked to get that block. It was terrible.
Yeah, no, literally. Yeah. So at the end of the day, from here on out, the key to our success, chat, is going to be that offensive line. I mean, it's literally going to define our season. Like, if they can get into like a relatively decent zone, then suddenly we're going to be in an incredible spot. If Adrian plays anything like that, if he manages the games like he has been.
Again, not turning the ball over.
It changes the game.
It's so big. Like,
we were hanging with Oklahoma because we didn't have a turnover.
Exactly.
And we didn't even force a turnover.
But then if you look to Illinois where you have 4 turnovers, it doesn't matter who you play, you're going to lose.
Yep.
Again, so that's just a great thing to see. And again, him just being able to get the ball to the talent, it feels like this year, which he just wasn't able to do these last 2 seasons. Finally getting the ball out to playmakers like Omar Manning, Samori Toure, Xavier Betts. Like, that's just so key. And
for sure.
It's nice seeing him do it finally.
I mean, I was mind blown every single time through Ben Jones.
I kept tweeting. I was like, you and me were both tweeting like, great pass.
We got Ben Jones references in the chat. This is some deep dives. I respect that. Cornhusker fever. That's live. Elite.
Yeah, first
our first and only stream. Live. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, anyone here, you guys are elite. This is our second live stream ever, so shout out, welcome in everybody.
Yes.
Y'all are great. But no, yeah, I think offensively we have the baked-in upside from here on out now with the offense and how they could potentially perform, and we're just gonna have to see what happens here. I mean,
it's like we have upside, but man,
it seems unlikely.
It's capped. It's capped with the offensive line.
That's true.
There's only so much we can do
when you can't run the ball literally at all.
And now we lost probably our
most dynamic rusher, right?
Yeah, who again?
Yeah, no, so it's not the most ideal situation.
It's unideal. It is unideal in the offensive line. I mean, it's been 4 games. It's been this bad, been undisciplined. What do we do? Like, who's our best offensive line? Like, I think at this point, every single person on the O-line is absolutely replaceable. Like, there's nobody
at this point right now. Yeah, they're all playing like replacement level players. I mean, Pro Football Focus would agree. With their rankings.
Nobody looks promising.
No,
like Cam Jurgens, I guess at moments.
Cam has promising moments for sure, and PFF has him ranked as our highest pass blocker on the year. Yeah, I mean, out of all of our starters, but it's crazy. It really is. I don't know. It's defensively, I guess we can kind of transition over to the defensive side.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this defense? I mean, they played a pretty solid game. You got to give them credit here. 23 points to Oklahoma. Playing a really, really solid game. That's a performance that overall, obviously Oklahoma, they had their times when they were dominating us up front and they were running the ball at will. And that's kind of what ended up being the decider in the game in the fourth quarter. But, I mean, overall, you see the potential with this defense.
No, for sure. And I felt like a lot of times we were actually taking our chances. I thought JoJo and Quentin Newsome, when we needed them to play their best game, especially in coverage with so many weapons, they really stepped up. JoJo had the most tackles he's had this year with 12, and 8 solo, and then Quentin Newsome had 7. We had 5 pass deflections on defense, which is huge, especially when you're going against a guy who's almost 80% completion. Every
right.
one that you can deflect, like that's so big.
Yeah, I mean, how much
there
do you
was
take
3
away?
times we could have picked the ball off.
Oh yeah, when guys had hands on it, like JoJo. There's a handful of ones. Yeah,
JoJo, Reimer, and Quentin Newsome, I think, all had their hands on a ball.
Yeah,
and it was like,
I agree.
So close.
I mean, overall, we really kept a lot of Oklahoma's dynamic playmakers in check, which was pretty exciting. Like, giving up not one big play to Oklahoma is a win. I mean, that's a big time win where you're not giving up a 30, 40 yard plus play.
Yeah, I tweeted like every time they punt, it is an absolute W.
Oh yeah, and the sigh of relief, you're just like,
you're like,
okay, all right.
Like not 7 more points for them.
Well, ironically, there was even like that first drive. They ended up scoring, but I was like, the silver lining was like, well, at least they burned like 8 minutes. I was like, thank goodness.
Exactly.
Like, at least we took that long of a drive for them to
score. You want
score.
their time to possession to be a lot higher.
Yeah, literally.
Because it gives you time for them.
Well, you want their average drive to be like a long one, in a game like this.
Because you want to make Oklahoma earn it.
Right.
I mean, their running backs both looked really good, and they definitely wore on us in the second half.
Yeah.
I think my only frustration with the defense, as great as they played, was with the last 5 minutes. Oklahoma just out-blocked us there in those last 5 minutes.
Yeah, and our front seven wasn't getting that push.
They ran a 4-wide set, but we knew we were going to run. I would wish we would have sold out more to blitz, because we knew they're going to run clock. They're not going to throw. And, run with that single coverage, but more so try to stack the box to stop the run.
Yeah.
To give our offense more time and better field position.
Right. It wasn't great timing because Cam Taylor got dinged up there, so he missed a few drives.
Yeah.
And that was bad timing in that fourth quarter because we needed. But although I think during that time, that was when we forced that 3 and out, though, when Cam Taylor wasn't on the field. And that was the thing. Quentin Newsome played a great game.
Was
that before?
Yeah, because with the last 5 minutes was where they have that long sustained drive. They didn't score, but they got pretty far. Like they got to the 50 when they were on the 8.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, overall, again,
because Brooks and them and Gray.
It seemed like Cam was fine though. Because I think he ended up coming back in at the end of the game. I honestly, I blacked out that last quarter. It was just like, oh my word, we have a chance, and I was like, what happened?
No, I think he's good. But
yeah, he saw him after the game.
I think that was the one frustrating thing. But besides that, we dared them to take their chances. We did throw some different blitzes at them. We threw some different looks. Again, we leaned on JoJo and our corners to make the plays, while also, again, trying to get at the quarterback, which we needed to do.
Yeah.
In the second half, maybe the defensive line could have played a little better to get some pressure. There was some holdings. Obviously, there's always holding calls. But in that case, you have to make it so egregious. You have to do so well to get it called on you.
For sure.
At that point. But
yeah, shout out the chat, by the way. Y'all appreciate the love in the chat. Y'all are great. But no, I mean, 100%. There's been a lot of different questions in the chat, but overall, a lot of people talking about Rattler. I think Rattler definitely, again, like we talked about in our video, he gives every team a few opportunities to make a play. Unfortunately, the few opportunities to make a play on defense for us didn't fall our way. We didn't get that pick in those few throws that he made that could have been, and that ends up being the difference in the game for them. I mean, Oklahoma's in a weird spot now where, they're the number 3 team ranked in the country, but they've now had 2 scary wins against, I mean, average teams is probably an overstatement, but I mean, at least, Tulane and ourselves, or Tulsa and ourselves, or no, Tulane and ourselves. Yes. I was just watching Tulsa play tonight or earlier, but so I don't know. I mean, doesn't it feel a little bit like Oklahoma's a little overrated at least? At least it comes off like that.
I mean, definitely. I mean, their defense is probably, I mean, it felt like better than offense sometimes.
Yeah, and maybe Rattler gets more into groove as the year moves along, but.
And that's definitely how it was last year. They played their best football as the season progressed.
That's true.
So that's definitely part of it. I mean, they have all the pieces there. Their running backs, I think that Gray the Tennessee transfer, I think, is really special. So I think he's going to be a
literally
problem.
Both their running backs look great.
Again, if this is the best the Big 12 has to offer, it's like maybe the Big 12 is a little soft.
Yeah, I mean last year, like you said, so last year they lost to Kansas State, then they lost to Iowa State, so they were 1-2, and then they went to overtime with Texas, like number 20-something ranked Texas at the time, and so like they started off the year with 4 shaky games. And then ended up finishing the year kicking the living life out of Florida, so in the Cotton Bowl. So, like, they'll be just fine, I'm sure. But we definitely aren't seeing probably the best of Oklahoma on the season, to say the least. But they definitely aren't playing great football right now. They're lucky they're playing us, and they're lucky they're playing West Virginia next week. Because
no, I think so. Well, I think West Virginia, I think they won today.
Were they playing Virginia Tech? Who are they playing?
Yeah, they beat Va Tech today.
Oh, yeah, they did. 27-21. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
So that's a tester. Again, I mean, I said it in the video, I think this is the best defense Oklahoma could see the whole regular season. And I think I'm pretty confident that that's going to be the case now. I mean, I don't know if anybody else in the Big 12 has as good a defense. The one thing I am happy to say is I think we can bump our defense up to a top 30 defense at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case.
No, I mean, I would agree that it's probably right around there. Also, I see Kevin Vandy in the chat. Shout out Kevin Vandy. Shout out Brando. Shout out Brando and Safe Moon. I have some Safe Moon.
Heck yes. What class
to the moon, baby.
Moon.
I lost like $100 on it. Don't buy it. Don't.
Dang, yeah, crypto's cold.
Well, it's doing all right. But
that's true.
You were at the game. Shout out everybody who's at the game though. Things you love to see.
Yeah, I mean, I heard.
The atmosphere looked dope. The atmosphere looked dope. It really did.
It was loud on the TV, and again, I did hear quite a few Nebraska fans. That was fun.
Oh yeah, who won? Did Cincinnati win?
They did win. Yeah.
Oh, they did.
Dude, I was telling you. I said this year, Indiana, not so sure. I thought they overachieved last year.
That's disappointing. Right now, Penn State and Auburn's 21-20.
Yeah,
that's wild. I don't know, man. Defensively, I mean, other than that, I think we finally saw the best of JoJo, like you were mentioning. Quentin Newsome was the biggest X factor heading into this game, and he played really well. So that was exciting to see. And then the other thing that we talked about was that we were worried about how our linebacking core was going to be able to cover the flats and how guys were going to be able to spread the field and make plays. But, like, not only did our linebackers cover the field well, but, like, DeAndre Thomas was out there making plays down the sidelines. Yes. This dude's pursuit was sick. Yeah, things you love to see. That was some dope plays. I was hyped about that, boys. Yeah. Actually hyped.
I think there was only like a couple times there's some missed tackles on the speed thing. I think Garrett Nelson a couple times didn't have quite the best tackles, but man, yeah, Quinn Newsome played great again when we needed him. We had to challenge them some way. But no, it was a solid defensive performance. I mean, this is the first time since like 2016 that they hadn't scored at least 23 points, like over 23.
That's what they. So it's the first time since 2016 they hadn't scored 23 points. The fourth time they were held under 30 points, I think, in the last 3 years. So that's that means something, like it's hard to say exactly what it means because we're at the beginning of the season, early on in the year, but it means something when you have a Heisman, one of the preseason Heisman favorites, the preseason Heisman favorite on the other side of the ball when you're playing against them. I mean, like, that means something. And I don't know, what are your thoughts on Rattler, actually? Because I do want to talk about Oklahoma a little bit here. Rattler was interesting. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to probably, I think the average Nebraska fan would probably say Rattler's overrated. But I don't know. He definitely takes risk. And Joel Klatt, shout out Joel Klatt too, because he's my favorite college football analyst. So it's exciting to have him always talk about our games. And Klatt did a great job this game pointing out a lot of these things. But and he definitely, talked about Rattler and some of the chances he takes and gets a little bit unnecessarily aggressive. And we talked about his confidence in our video last week and how we gotta bait him into being confident.
There was a couple times just where he threw it into double, triple coverage where it's like, you shouldn't do that there. But he just has supreme confidence. I mean, in his weapons, which he should. Right. Again, they're absolutely loaded.
I mean, the ball comes out of his hand. It's beautiful. It really is.
It spins. Yeah, he spins it nice, and it come out with velocity.
There were a few plays though where like
accurate, so.
The average quarterback would throw that thing out of bounds, and then Rattler just like that thing like 10 yards up the field. You're like, what? How did that thing end up a completion?
And again, like when the play breaks down, the one times we did have problems on those long plays is he's just so good at scrambling and finding the guy. Like he's better if Adrian could figure that out, where play breaks down, he just needs to get a guy open. I mean, Rattler's just so good at throwing a guy open.
He is,
and that's
right. And the best QBs in the world they put the ball where only their guy can get it, and if they're out of the pocket,
they lead him to the open spot.
Right.
They don't just they can throw the ball.
That chemistry is like found in practice with those guys too, and that all matters for sure. Like back in the day when you watch like Brady and Wes Welker, it was like Brady just he trots out to. Trot, it might even be too fast of a word, but he trots out to his right. Waddles out to his he crawls out to his right. And and Wes is like, here we go, whoop, right into the little gap right here, bang, turns around. Him and Julian were so good at that for the Patriots back in the day. And
Russell Wilson,
Gronk,
Tyler Lockett.
Oh yeah, they've all got their guys. They just understand
Russell
their space,
Wilson
and
so good.
Hopefully over the next few, and this is why I think we have some really interesting baked upside into our offense the rest of this year, because Adrian can still develop that even with like Torrey or Manning and these guys who he hasn't had that much time. We have Betts even that much time with the past year and a half. So the passing game still has a ton of upside the rest of the year, and we're here now we're talking about the offense again. But yeah, like overall, I just think it's just exciting. And back to the defensive side of the ball, the pass coverage from the linebackers though was my biggest takeaway from this game. Like that was exciting. JoJo played in coverage fantastic. Really, all of them did. I know we played a lot of that zone. I think in the second half, Oklahoma started figuring out a little bit more.
I mean, as you would assume. The team would.
Yeah, for sure. And so overall, though, I mean, moving forward, playing against the rest of these Big Ten teams, the only thing here is our front seven and the run game. I mean, obviously, our passing game and our passing defense, our secondary feels like they play really, really well. And so it comes down to, like, can we win that battles up front? And that's what costs us the game in the second half defensively. So, like, when you're playing against Northwestern or Michigan State or Iowa.
The nice thing is when we play Northwestern and Iowa, we don't have to respect them like we respect
And you're not playing Spencer Rattler. Yeah, that's true.
You're not playing Spencer Rattler.
That is fair.
You're not playing 3, like, NFL talent wide receivers. So that's just a nice thing. Again, playing against Oklahoma, your defense, again, we have to play so well and so disciplined, which we did a lot of the time. So that was really exciting because, again, Hazelwood, Mario, all those guys, they're pretty special. And
100%.
So thankful that there's only going to be one of them on these next teams. Obviously, when we play Ohio State, it'll be the same thing.
Right.
But hey,
I mean, doesn't this give you a little bit of at least hope for the OSU game? Like at least a little bit,
Well, I mean, Stroud definitely didn't play amazing today.
No.
And obviously, as the season goes on,
I need to watch today's game. I didn't get a chance to see it.
Yeah, I only saw the scores.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, we'll see, man. We will see. Wandale also another 8 receptions for 111 yards today for Kentucky.
He had 88 at half. He had 88 catching yards at half. Oof.
This is like the jealous ex. This is jealous
dude,
ex
you
who
are.
Facebook
you
stocks.
Like, what? Yeah, he's just.
I'm
he's
literally
Facebook
photos. Stalking exes here. Like, come on, man. Also,
see him live their best life.
Brando says we are like peanut butter and jelly, Brady and Gronk, Chicks and Hugh Hefner. Yes, that's right.
That's
we
exactly
are
right.
the dynamic duo, of course. I mean, we haven't even mentioned really the biggest elephant in the room today, and that is the special teams.
Man.
And
no,
it is as ugly as it gets.
The
man.
Dumpster fire.
The
absolute
dumpster fire.
It's a waste. It's a waste landfill that is on fire.
Yeah,
it's
like
so
oil leaks that are
bad.
like it's burning in the ocean. Like no matter how much water you pour on this thing, it's still gonna burn. That's what we got going. It's just so a pure on
bad
disaster.
It's like it's historically bad. I mean, when the 3-point swing on a PAT, like what on earth,
bro?
Ethan Piper.
Ethan
Public enemy number one.
Yeah, dude. Come on, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, we benched the dude, and he's still costing us. Yeah, shout out Ethan Piper. I'm sure we'd be great friends out of football, but man, come on. Tough stuff here, brother.
And then on the special
tough
team,
stuff.
He still finds a way to just ruin it for me. Like, come on.
It's wild. Truly.
It's impressive how fast he was pancaked on that play. I kept watching.
It looks like NCAA football back in the day when you could jump the snap and then every time you'd pancake the dude defensively. It looks like that dude pressed X at the perfect time, and then Ethan Piper was just like, well, the dude pressed X. I have to go down. Like,
you just have the muscle over him animation that's on the pancake, like right over the O-lineman.
Dude, it blew my mind. I'm like, how does one get pancaked so fast to go from blocking to on the ground? And then Connor Culp, the freaking kicker of the year, is missing 2 field goals again. One was a 50-yarder, so you'll give him a little bit of credit there. You're like, I mean, whatever.
50-yarder,
but like that 30 whatever was 35, 38-yarder, and then the extra point that gets blocked. You're like, bro, it's just pain.
The crazy thing is that was a different kicker. On the one that got blocked, we brought in a backup kicker.
Yes, of course.
Which was also just it's a weird decision. Like, I don't. Pain.
I mean,
just pain.
Yeah, what are you gonna do though? What are you gonna do?
Oh, and then finally, we don't kick it into the end zone, and their returner gets 45 yards, like on the kick return.
Oh yeah, that was unfortunate.
And you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. So chat, how many of you guys could be our kicker? Or
anybody got a leg?
How many of you guys can replace Ethan Piper? I'm seeing at least 3 or 4 hands. 100 hands. Okay, everyone. Perfect.
Everyone.
That's great. Good job, guys.
I think it's now time to look to all the local soccer teams and just say, hey, who can kick? I
mean, literally, it is wild, man. So, I don't know. I mean, overall thoughts, like, on anything else on the game there? I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, thoughts? Anything else that comes to mind?
I mean, the season is going to be defined by turnovers, but it seems like we're turning the page at that point. So
don't declare that. Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Whisper that one fingers. Quietly. I mean, let's not get too
we're
crazy
turning
here.
The corner there. Hopefully.
Yeah. Oh no.
And if that's the case, then it's going to be defined by our offensive line and our special teams. It just blows my mind that we might get punished. There's a world for this, the cheating and the special teams, firing the coordinator. That we've had a different special teams coordinator every year under Scott Frost, and we still can't get it figured out. When he came here, we paid a dude I think $1 million. We fired him. We brought on a specialist. He got fired. We're just going through everything. Where on earth is a good special teams coach? Anybody send me their LinkedIn accounts?
I mean, this is another thing, though. This is what we talked about this in past videos, but this is the thing that Urban Meyer says all the time when he was doing Big Ten Network broadcasts was good special teams is a sign of a good program, that it shows the depth that you have as a team, that you're not making mistakes, that you're disciplined, that you have all these things going for you as a program. And so, those signs of a bad special teams is still a sign that we're lacking a little bit of depth. And you can see that when we have kicks getting blocked and things along those lines, obviously.
Thank you, Ethan.
Right. So all of those things combined are a little bit worrying, obviously, for the future of Husker football when it comes to the rest of the season. But, overall, you have to be happy with the improvement. Obviously, a loss is a loss. And we're talking as if we won the game. We have so many positive things to say. But, with where our program's at right now, it's not reasonable for us to expect to even compete with Oklahoma, even if Oklahoma's slightly overrated, even if they're a number 6 or number 8 team, not a top 5 team, which kind of feels like it right now.
It definitely feels like that's the case.
But
they seem too exposable at least at this point in the season.
For sure.
To go undefeated seems so unlikely for them. They gotta drop a couple, right?
You'd imagine someone will find something going on there. Yeah, especially on the road or something like that where things just go wrong. Again, there's still a world there where Rattler, because he didn't have to throw. He ended up throwing 34 times, but he only had 214 yards and 1 passing touchdown. Like,
again, just fantastic.
You gotta love if you told me that we were gonna keep Spencer Rattler to 6.4 yards per completion, let alone per attempt, I'd been like, sign me up. Like, please.
Or if we were like, only down 4 points at halftime, like, give me that all day. Or again, like learning that, we only let them score 23 points. You're like, oh man, we could have won that one.
Yeah.
Again, our defense is good enough when they show up.
Right.
The problem is, like if you look toward the you can't forget the Illinois game.
We still lost to Illinois, and Illinois blows. Like, they're awful. So,
we have to stay disciplined, keep not turning the ball over, and then, be creative and take our shots. Again, it felt like in this game, like we actually felt well coached, felt like there was a solid game plan, felt like there was adjustments, felt like our defense had a solid identity of what they were going to do and how they were going to stop this team.
Yeah.
And we need that every single game. We can't write off Illinois. We need a game plan for every single one.
For sure.
We need a solid definition of what we're going to do, what we're going to give up, what we're not going to give up, and live with those consequences. And it felt like in this Oklahoma game we did, but we need that same amount of energy and focus in these big games as we do the small games, because, again, if you play these games close, it doesn't matter if you keep dropping games to.
For sure. The biggest problem is at the end of the day, if you grade it out every single one of our cores, you might give like a B to Adrian and like a B+ to our wide receiving core and like maybe an A- to our secondary and like a B+ to our linebackers and a B or B+ to our D line. And then you give a big fat old F to our O-line. And then
and then F to the special teams.
And F to special teams, and that's enough for us to be a C. To be a C overall team, because that matters that much. So, if our offense can only put up 16 to 25 points a game because our O-line is that terrible, then it's like, who cares how good our receiving core is or how great Adrian plays outside of the times where he gets mobbed in the backfield. So that's what gets tough. Overall, I think that's kind of about the full-on breakdown of the game. I mean, we've been going for about 40-something minutes so far already, so I think we can kind of look towards the chat and talk about it a little bit. I saw a beautiful comment here, is that Nebraska has 2 losses, both to Nebraska. Oh,
I definitely think I say we have
patriotic.
one loss to Nebraska, one loss to Oklahoma.
That's fair. I mean, because realistically, we only had 1 turnover in this game. The penalties were tough, but I mean, at the end of the day, like the penalties weren't game-breaking penalties.
No, we couldn't
realistically
move the ball.
Our first drive, I mean, we
lost to Nick Benito and company.
Yeah. So I mean, like there's a high chance Benito's probably a top 15 type pick, maybe higher. We'll see what happens, but he's a really, really talented player. So we'll see. He's very Micah Parsons-esque, except Parsons was like a middle linebacker. So we'll see. But I mean, just overall, guys, any questions for it? This is kind of going to be our breakdown video for the week. But we'll be doing our predictions video still for the Michigan State game, obviously. So
gotta research them.
Of course,
find out what makes them tick.
We gotta go through the film and watch through all of their games.
4-2-5. What does that mean?
Yeah, and they have some fun. So it's gonna be a weird game. We're not gonna get too much into the Michigan State stuff because we'll save that for the video.
Yeah, save the juice.
Yes, and we also didn't get a chance to watch their game today. So.
Oh, they said answer Ben's question. Okay.
Oh.
Did you guys' opinion change on Scott Frost from this game? Okay. Well, that's an interesting question.
Ooh, interesting. Oh, shout out Connor Woodring. Oh, my word. Big shouts. Let's go, my guy. How you doing? But no, yes, great question. What are your thoughts? Scott Frost.
Well,
pretty solid.
I turned and asked multiple people. I'm like, where was this the last 4 years on some of the creative stuff? Again, some of those offensive wrinkles we thought Scott Frost would bring to the table.
Interesting. Is this a chicken and an egg situation? Is it because Adrian was playing well, therefore Frost felt like he could open it up?
Or I just think that's, part of it.
Or was it a well-coached game? And Adrian was like, all that put together helped Adrian play well.
I definitely think that it was the fact that he just finally opened up the playbook. Like, we need to see this more. And again, I just felt like finally we had a concrete sense of what our plan was for the game.
It felt like we had a little bit of an identity too, like as an offense, like taking a few shots downfield, making reliable plays, hitting our tight ends in the flats. We have some playmakers now, so
making adjustments.
Yeah,
at
that is interesting
halftime.
though with Frost. I mean, this was the highest potential, least problems I've had with like the coaching aura of the game side of things as a whole. Probably maybe since year one.
Yeah, I mean, again, I felt like this was the best offensively called at some points of the game, but also you have to think back to like there's a minute left in the game. The calls were terrible. We had small dump offs. Nothing happens. So like, there's this ups and downs. I mean, again, Josh and I both said at the beginning of this year, Scott Frost definitely controls his own destiny for if he stays or goes again, essentially, because this is year 4. The jury's still out. We can still win a lot of games. Again,
for sure.
We hired him and we paid him a ton of money for a reason. I think the offensive line needs to clear itself up. But obviously, again, we always root for Huskers. We always want them to do the best. But Scott Frost definitely still has a lot to prove, and a loss to Oklahoma, I don't think changes the hot seat.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, a 7-point loss to Oklahoma at least feels like it definitely, all signs are, this was like it feels like we're going in the right direction type games, like that's the best case to go.
I think
but again, at the end of the day, we always say you have to get the wins at some point. And so if you end up losing to Michigan State and you end up losing to Northwestern, then who cares that you barely lost to Oklahoma? Like Illinois beat Wisconsin last year or 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago. So, or was that last year? Recently. Illinois beat Wisconsin.
Josh said apologize to our linebackers. When did we ever say anything bad about our linebackers?
Wait, Josh, that's absolute cap. We love our linebackers.
What? Mm-hmm. We have been saying before Reimer even started last year, we said he should be starting.
Yeah, like over Colin Miller.
Apologize to our linebackers.
Oh,
what you
no.
mean?
Yeah.
We said Garrett Nelson sometimes isn't fast in coverage. I still don't think that's false.
Sometimes an unreliable tackler.
And that again showed today. So we only spit straight facts here. So apologize for nothing.
Yeah, literally. So we'll see. I mean, it just comes down to exactly what happens the next 2 weeks. I mean, the Oklahoma game helps his case, but like I said, if you end up winning one more game the rest of the year, it does not matter what happened in this game. So
exactly. Again, the hot seat doesn't change. He still has to do go throughout the rest of the season.
Does it give you a little bit more confidence?
It makes us excited. Yes.
It gives me a little bit more confidence though moving forward. That's for sure. I'm more likely to pick us to beat Michigan State this week or to beat Northwestern. I feel more confident suddenly, So
yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, obviously we've all sat through the 62-3 drubbings that Ohio State has given us over the past few years. So not having that happen, against a top 5 team makes you feel pretty good. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little bit too early to kind of go off of who would come to our program if Scott leaves or is fired. Feels like a little bit too premature of a question for week 4, but I mean, I don't know. Zach Taylor, if he gets fired from Cincinnati, I don't know.
The Bengals.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But, you never know. But, I don't know. If you had to give like just a off the top of your head record thought right now, based off of what we know, we don't know. Again, we haven't gone and watched the rest of the Big Ten this weekend yet, so we've only really watched the Huskers basically today. So we still have a little bit of work to catch up on.
I watched the Indiana game.
Right, yeah, a little bit of that, exactly. So thoughts on our record, where you might be at with it right now?
I've said 5-7 at the beginning of the season, and I said we were 2-2 at this point, except, I picked us to lose to Buffalo and beat Illinois, but instead
that's true.
Lost to Illinois and beat Buffalo. So I mean, I have us at 2-2 at this point in the season. I think 5-7 still really realistic. Although, Michigan State's definitely worrisome going into next week.
Oh,
especially
yeah,
because
you've got Northwestern.
They're going to be ranked the top 25. I think Northwestern was getting beat bad by Duke today. So
yeah, and then Purdue looks winnable still. Yeah, so Northwestern lost 30-23 to Duke today.
With a decent team. They're hanging.
No, yeah,
Purdue
was with Notre Dame for a little bit, but then Notre Dame pulled away and won by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, so I'll stick. I'll just keep sticking with my prediction.
Purdue's looked okay though. They beat Oregon State 30-21, then they beat UConn 49-0, and then they lost by 14 to number 12 Notre Dame. So they're gonna be competitive. They play Illinois next week. That'll tell us quite a bit about where they're at.
I mean, I think again, this team is very capable of winning. A lot of the games left on the schedule. Pretty much everybody but Ohio State is a high probability.
Yeah, I mean, we
like,
should be competitive. I mean,
have a chance.
Yeah, Wisconsin on the road is going to be tough. I mean, Michigan at home obviously is not going to be easy. But I mean, now next week, it looks like Michigan State is either going to be ranked or on the fringe of ranked. So it's going to be a really fun game. There's a high chance I'm at that game, by the way, which is a fun time. But we'll see. We will see.
I mean, we have a potential to win the West. I think it's going to be tough to win the West this year. Potential, sure,
tough,
but it doesn't.
That potential is that's a stretch, especially when you're starting.
We're already 0-1.
You're already 0-1 with Illinois, so like
it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah.
I mean, Iowa. While
if you go 2-0
and boring.
If we beat Michigan State, then we beat Northwestern, then we can talk about the chance to win the West, the offshoot chance to win the West.
But Iowa. But
you have to beat Michigan State and Northwestern first, and then you have to.
Essentially, I don't think Iowa's dropping more than,
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is,
because they don't play Ohio State. They don't play.
They play Wisconsin. They play Penn State. So
they play Penn State. If Penn State's good, maybe they can drop that one, and then the Illinois one, and then our Ohio State probably loss is a wash. But
yeah, so the problem is, the good news is that Wisconsin already lost to Penn State, so at least they have a Big Ten loss under their belt. So then Wisconsin would have to beat Iowa, and then Penn State would have to also beat Iowa, and then we'd have to have a tiebreaker with Iowa and have 2 losses in the Big Ten to win the West. So that's unlikely. That's
tough. That's quite the
unbelievably unlikely. That means we have to beat everybody except for, let's say, Ohio State the rest of the year.
Ohio State, we have to beat everybody.
That is low probability.
See how we haven't beat Wisconsin or Iowa in the last 5 years.
In our last Big Ten game, we lost to Illinois. There is a low chance of this happening.
Again, everybody tapered their expectations. We did still lose to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Again, excited.
Or we just beat Ohio State. Fair play. Maybe we do. Maybe we do.
Hey, any given Saturday.
Absolutely.
Again, and we're always, it's always exciting. And the fun thing is, I was thinking by halftime, I was going to have to painstakingly watch this game and take notes.
No, it's a great time.
For the video. But for this one, I had hope the whole half.
Yeah, literally.
What if? The what if question was a fun time. So
no, yeah, I agree, Chad. Ohio State hasn't looked great by any means. That is an overstatement to say they've looked great.
On the scale of talent, although their running back Henderson.
Oh my word! You see the highlights of him today?
Yeah. So he is no joke. So
it's 277 yards today.
He had 234 yards at almost. and did he have more than 3 touchdowns? Because he had.
No, he had 3. He slowed down.
Yeah, he almost had 300 yards, Chad, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
he's a true freshman.
Right. That's the problem too. Is Garrett Wilson. Oh man, they could be so good next year. Ohio State's gonna be so good next year. This is their quote unquote rebuilding year. And they're still a top 10 team.
Yeah. I don't know. The continuous penalties. Our offensive line. They need to come to Jesus meeting. They need to sit down for
they need a miracle. They need a miracle.
We need some angels in the outfield. We need some angels in the pass block. We need some angels in the pass block. Is what needs to happen.
Word. Oh my gosh, seriously.
Because I just don't know.
Ohio State doesn't rebuild, they reload. That's true.
Exactly. When you have an O-line that works, yes, running for 300 yards is a possibility. I know, it blows my mind.
Yeah. It's crazy. So, I don't know, man. We'll see. Again, we'll be doing our predictions video for Michigan State on probably Wednesday, or it'll probably come out on Wednesday, I'd imagine. And then we'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun week, man. I'm looking forward to it. And at least we now think we have a team that can compete in these games. We're not going to for sure lose to Michigan State. We're not going to for sure lose to any of these teams.
We get blown out by Oklahoma this week.
If we lose by 40, it's this season's over.
What chance do we have to beat again? Probably, because our schedule remaining is the toughest schedule remaining in the whole country. We got the toughest strength of schedule in the entire nation.
Yeah.
We're playing, Michigan State's going to be ranked. Michigan's going to be ranked. Ohio State, Iowa's going to be a big ranked team. Wisconsin's not going anywhere.
Right.
That's
There's a world where Minnesota could be ranked when we play them.
Teams.
They'll be 4-1 when we play them. So
that's 5, maybe 6 top 25 teams. We're going to run through an absolute gauntlet the rest of the season.
Anybody saying that we for sure win in 6 games, there's that. That is not a for sure. I mean, 5 is in jeopardy here. So because saying that we win 3 of the rest of these 8 that's going to be tough. I mean,
I'd feel really happy at that point. Like if we get.
How do you rank the odds of winning so far? What do you think is game Northwestern at this point at home?
I think Northwestern and Purdue are most likely to win games.
And
at
then
this point.
Is it Michigan State or Minnesota? They're both on the road. I'd probably say Michigan State.
Probably.
Because I mean, think that at this point, PJ Fleck has outcoached Frost every year.
Oh, that's tough. It's a coin flip for me. I guess since Michigan State's still, a little bit unproven, and Miami's always overranked, overrated, Nebraska gets most of the time,
right?
Or
those are close. Those are 4 very winnable games, which will be a ton of fun to watch. And then Michigan,
they're going to be great battles.
Winnable.
I mean, we're going to be on the edge of our seats. Yeah, Michigan
at home.
It'll be a fun game.
That feels really winnable. Because at this point, we don't really know much about Michigan because they've played. I mean, they beat Washington, but did Washington lose today?
They were the ones that lost to.
Oh no, Montana. They played Arkansas State today.
Washington lost to Montana.
Yeah, exactly. So who knows with Washington and how good they actually are. So there's a world where Michigan's overrated. They play Rutgers this next week, and then they play Wisconsin. So that Wisconsin game will tell us a lot the week before we play Michigan about how good both those teams are. So that's really nice that they're playing each other that week before us.
Yo, Mixer, these are bad takes. The number 3 team in football. We got to remember that this is the beginning of the season. If at the end of the season, Oklahoma's ranked number 3, then maybe we'll see something different. But rankings change every single week.
Yeah.
Coastal Carolina's a top 15 team at this point. And is that really the case? I don't know. There's so many top 10 teams that don't end up in the top 25 every year. There's a lot of football to be played, so who knows what's going to happen, and that's the fun of it, and that's why we love talking with you guys.
And again, there's yes, you can. Every game has to be taken with a big perspective, but then also with a narrowed perspective about how that team actually played in this game. And I don't think anyone could sit there and say Oklahoma played a clean game. They weren't playing great football. They ran the ball well in the second half overall, but they weren't converting, and their O-line was average performance at best. And when you compare that number 3 Oklahoma and how they played against some other teams they played, they're definitely a little bit overrated right now. So it's hard to say. They feel like they're more like a top 8, top 9, top 10 team somewhere in there right now. But either way, I mean, we agree. It's just gonna be tough to say. Almost beating a team is not beating a team, and upsets can happen in college football. So there's just a lot of things. There's a lot of different. You have to take all that into account. I guess what I'm trying to say when doing the breakdown. So.
Oh man, these Mel Tucker comments are hilarious.
Mel Tucker. Well, that's the thing. I'm kind of scared of Mel Tucker.
Did volleyball lose again? Oh no.
Oh, they did.
They've been on a rough.
A little bit of a slide. So yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm excited. I'm just overall just excited to see what happens. The potential's there for the season now, though. At this point, all 4 of those games are absolutely winnable. Michigan State, Northwestern, Minnesota, Purdue. Michigan is very plausible. And then you have Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin, Mertz hasn't looked great either, so it's that's very winnable. And then you got Ohio State and Iowa. So far, Iowa's looked very, very good, but we have them at home. We have Ohio State at home. So anything's possible. So we'll see, man.
Just like
I think
Kevin
overall,
Garnett says, anything is possible.
That's right. The possibilities are there. I think overall we're pretty dang excited and looking forward to the Husker football. And I think with that said, guys, I think we're probably going to wrap it up here. But we went over an hour with you guys hanging out. This will be available as a VOD on the channel basically, I think, right after we go live. So you can go check out the rest of it if you missed a little bit for coming in a little bit late or whatever it is. So make sure to check that out. Drop a like on the stream And we want to do more of these after these games to hang out with you guys on Saturday. So hopefully we can make this a more regular thing and have some good times. Again, this would have been an out-of-pocket, absolutely wild one if we would have won. Now, that would have been... I don't even know if we could have live streamed that.
If we get some
that would have
big
been too
upsets,
dangerous.
I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait for us to win us a bunch of games. And just to be... I'm going to be on my worst behavior on all the videos.
Mel Tucker subscribed to Backseat Sports, then unsubscribed? What a douchebag. Don't be like Mel Tucker. All right? What a loser.
Facts.
My word. Unreal. Jeez.
Well, Tyler, not that wild, but mostly wild.
But all right, boys, it's been real. Like we said, we want to do this more often. Like the video, drop a comment down below once this VOD goes live.
Everybody comment Ben Jones is a loser.
And,
Everybody needs to do that. Just
Ben Jones pees sitting down. All right, everyone.
Yes.
We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. Share the video if you guys really enjoyed it. But as always, guys, I'm Josh. That's Caleb. And guys, this has been Backseat Sports. And we will see you next time. Go Big Red, baby.